right, so we've done our long side. Now we just need to do our second corner. And we have 9 o'clock here, which is our accent color. We're missing 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And just remember with the corners where we have the bicones, 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock are both going to be accent colors. And then 6 o'clock are bicone. So I went ahead and picked up 2 11-0 Delicas of our accent color. I'm going through our bicone, our 6 o'clock, because of the direction of my thread. And then I am going to go through 9 o'clock. Once I'm done, I'm going to just go ahead, whoops, and reinforce that. There we go. Go. And this corner here will just naturally help, you know, create that shape that we want, that bezel we're trying to create here to capture the stone. And now that I've reinforced, I'm just trying to make my way back to 3 o'clock. And then again, we're just going to go ahead. So now we got the short wall. I'm coming out of 9 o'clock. I'm going counterclockwise. 6 o'clock is here. And I know my hand's in the way, so I'll get it out of the way in just a second. There we go. So 6 o'clock is right here. And what we're going to do then is we're missing 3 o'clock, which is now our accent color still. And then 12 o'clock we're missing, so that's our main color. Then we're going to go through 9 o'clock again. There we go, just like that. And then go ahead, reinforce everything. And then once you're done reinforcing, make sure you're at 3 o'clock again. And then you have 2 more units to put on. So you'll have 2 more units to put on, and then we'll be at the 3rd corner. So meet me back here and we'll do the 3rd corner together. And so you're reinforcing your first unit and then putting on your 2 additional units, meeting me back here for the 3rd corner. All right, everybody, it's going to look nice. All right, so now we're doing our 3rd corner. We've done this a couple of times now, so we know what's in store for us. And I just want to show here, see how it's kind of creating a shape already that will help us create a bezel for our stone. So anyways, we are now going, I just wanted to point that out. You can actually start seeing it kind of being raised and creating that shape. So what we're doing now is we're going to help create the 3rd corner, which will give us even more shape. And so we're coming out of 9 o'clock and we're going counterclockwise. And because it's a corner, we are missing 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, but the corner is going to just be accent color. So I picked up 2 11-0 Delicas. I'm going through my bicone, my 6 o'clock. And then I'm going through 9 o'clock. And then I'm just going to go ahead and reinforce that. There we go. And now that I've reinforced it, what I want to do is I want to make sure I wind up at 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to go through. Oops. I want to make sure I stay in frame, and I apologize if I didn't. And so now I'm coming out of 3 o'clock. I'm going to go through 6 o'clock because I'm now going counterclockwise. And then I'm going to, I'm now doing, I finished my third corner and I'm about to start my long side, my last side here. I'm going to go through 6 o'clock and I'm going to go back to using one accent bead for my 3 o'clock and one main color for my 12 o'clock and go through 9 o'clock again. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're just going to go through everything and reinforce everything. Once you've reinforced, make sure you're coming out at 3 o'clock. Then you have a total of 4 more units to put on, and then we'll do our final corner together. Okay? So do your reinforcement and then 4 units, meet me back here, and we'll do our last corner together and move on to the next section. Alright, so now we have our last corner. And just like with the other part of the bezel, because we're meeting up with the other side, we have 9 o'clock and we have 3 o'clock. But because we do have the other side already here, we also have our 6 o'clock, our bicone. So all we're missing is 12 o'clock. So I'm coming out at 9 o'clock. I pick up my accent bead because this is a corner for 12 o'clock. Then I'm going to go through 3 o'clock right here. There we go. Whoops. So I'm going through 3 o'clock. Then I end up then also going through 12 o'clock. I just got to make sure my tail doesn't get in my way. And then I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that. There we go. So I'm just reinforcing. So I'm just following the same thread path that I just created. And then I'm just going to make my way. Ta-da! Alright, so once you've reinforced, what I'm going to do is, right now my thread is coming out of this bead here, and that's one of the sides, that's my 3 o'clock. And I'm just going to maneuver to this unit following the thread path. So I'm coming out of one of my main colored beads, just like that. Alright, so what we can do at this point is we can go ahead and we can put in our stone. Now, our stone is a rectangle, so we got to be conscientious of that. We want our short sides and our long sides to correspond. And this is the back. The long side here is the front. So go ahead and pop it in, just like that. Now it's going to be loose and you may need to adjust, and that's perfectly fine. And you'll probably need to hold your stone in as we get started. But now we're ready to go ahead and tighten things up in the back. And once we're done with that, we'll tighten things up in the front. So I'm coming out of one of my main colors. Okay. And right in front of me is a main color. So then I pick up a main color, 11 Delica. Again, I'm coming out of a main color, and the next bead in front of me is a main color. So we pick up a main color and go through the next bead. Coming out from a main color, going into a main color. So then we pick up a main color. Coming out of a main color, going into a main color, so we pick up a main color. And this is why we did the accent color on the the corners. So I'm coming out of a main color, but I'm going into an accent color. So I'm going to pick up one of my 11-0 Demis. There we go. I'm coming out of an accent color going into a main color. So I pick up one of my 11-0 Demis. So wherever you're not going in and out of a main color where it's completely a main color, and you're going in and out of a accent color, you're going to have your Demis. And then if you're coming in and out of main colors only, then it's just going to be picking up one of your main color 11-0 Delicas. So let's do the next side. I'm coming out of a main color, I'm going into a main color. So that will be, I'm going to pick up a main color and go into that next 11-0 Delica. Again, main color coming out, and the next will be a main color, no accent color, so I pick up a main color. Now I come to a corner because even though I'm coming out of a main color, I'm going into an accent color. So that is part of the corner, so I pick up a 11-0 Demi, go into the corner. Into the next 11-0 Delica, the accent bead. The bead that I'm coming out of is an accent color. Even though I'm going into a main color, I still pick up 11-0 Demi. There we go. Let me turn around. There we go. And then again, I'm coming out of main color, and it looks like I'm going into a main color, so then I pick up a main color and go into that next bead. So go ahead and continue all the way around. Alright? And once you're done with that, go ahead and reinforce that. Don't get rid of your thread here, even though it's starting to get short. We still need to work on the back, but before we continue in the back, we want things even with the front when it comes to tension. So remove your stop bead, thread your tail, and we're going to use our tail to get started on the front and tighten up the front a little bit too. Alright, so finish up going around, and just remember, whenever you are either going into or coming out of an accent bead, you're going to be picking up a 11-0 Demi. Okay? And so you just have two corners to think about that. And then once you're done with adding all your beads all the way around, reinforce the entire back, then remove your stop bead, thread your tail, and meet me back here and we'll get started on the front. Alright, once you've threaded your tail with your needle, you want to weave your way so that way you're coming out of on one of your short sides of the main color, where you have at least, so you're coming out of the first main color on the short side, so as your thread is facing towards going to a corner. So that means you would have two spaces where we're going to be adding beads. And it's going to be just like we did with the back. The only difference is instead of an accent color, which is going to tell us when to add our Demis, we'll actually have Demis in the corner. So I'm coming out of this main bead here. I'm about to go through a main bead, so just like the back, I pick up a main bead. And that's the 11-0 Delica of my main color. Alright, then I'm coming out of a 11-0 Delica of the main color. I'm about to go in a 11-0 Delica of the main color. So I pick up a 11-0 Delica. There we go. Just like that. And my thread got caught. There we go. And now I'm about to enter into a corner. And I'm coming out of a main 11-0 Delica main color, but I'm entering a demi. So that means I pick up a demi. There we go. Alright, I'm coming out of a demi. Even though I'm going in through a main color, I still pick up 11-0 demi because I'm coming out of 11-0 demi. Alright, so it's just like before. So you just pick up the main color 11-0 Delicas and go in through the next bead, unless you are entering or exiting a demi, and go all the way around, reinforce, then meet me back here, or actually after you're done reinforcing, make sure your back thread that you were for the back, thread the needle on there, and we'll go back to the back, and we're gonna put on the backing here to protect the back. Okay. And then we'll go from there. I'm sorry, I wasn't making a whole lot of sense, so let me repeat that. So finish going all the way around. You're going to be adding 11-0 Delicas of the main color, except for wherever you're at a corner, and you know that because you'll be entering and exiting 11-0 demi. In that case, you put on the 11-0 demi, just like we did with this corner over here. Once you've gone all the way around once, go ahead, reinforce, and go all the way around a second time. Then meet me back to on the back side. Thread your thread from the back side. You should still have some thread. And what we'll do is we'll put on the next step for the back that will help protect the backing of the stone. Okay. All right. So have fun, enjoy. And I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to create the backing that will help protect the stone. And I didn't mention this earlier, and I apologize. But let me mention this now. It's not something you have to do, especially since we are creating a back to protect the backing. But what I like to do with some of my foil back stones is I do like to put on some clear nail polish and let it dry to protect it. That's completely up to you. And again, in this particular case, we are going to have a backing that's going to go across the back to help protect it, just like this. So it's going to be fairly well protected, so you don't have to worry about it this time. But it does, if you haven't already done so, that's something I should have mentioned earlier. So I do apologize. Forgive me. Again, don't worry about it. Really, don't worry about it, since we are creating backing that pretty much covers almost the entire back. So you'll be fine. All right, so what you want to do is, you can see in the on either side here. So I'm coming over here, but I'm just going to point it out on this side. Is we have these beads that are slightly sticking out that we had added, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 4 right angle weaves that go across, and then we'll do another row of 4 and another row of 4, and then our 4th row of 4 will connect to the other side. So right now I'm coming out of what I would call 12 o'clock, because it's sticking out. So I'm coming out of this bead here. All right, so that's the second bead after a corner. All right, so we're only using the beads that are slightly sticking out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick up 3 11-0 Delicas, go through that sticking out bead, which is I consider my 12 o'clock, and then I just like to reinforce that. It's probably not as much of a big deal for reinforcing in the back, but it's just, we're using Delicas. We've got plenty of room, and you should have enough thread to go all the way around. So it's just a preference for the backing. There we go. And then once I'm done, now because I'm going right to left with my units right now, I'm going to come out of my 9 o'clock right here instead of my 3 o'clock. That's just because of the direction of my row. Alright, so the second unit, I'm coming out of 9 o'clock of the previous unit, which is now my 3 o'clock. I pick up 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and then I go through 12 o'clock, which is sticking out here. And I'm just going to turn this around so I can see better. There we go. So just like that. And then when you're done, you go back through 3 o'clock. And then you just reinforce everything. And when you're done reinforcing, then you wind up back at 9 o'clock. So I'm still reinforcing. And I'm just going to try to get through that 12 o'clock. There we go. Once you get done with this row, it's a lot easier. This is the toughest row to get through. There we go. And so now I'm just gonna, I've completed my reinforcement. So now what I need to do is I just need to make my way to 3 o'clock. There we go. So just like that, you're going to put on 2 more units. Meet me back here and I'll show you how to get started with the next row. Alright, so before we get started with our next row, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go down this section here. And I'm just going to maneuver my way so I can turn around. Here's the beginning of that first right angle weave unit. So I'm going to go through there, which is the 12 o'clock. Then I'm going to go through 3 o'clock here. And then I'm going to go through 6 o'clock. And before I get started on my next right angle weave, I'm just going to be putting in my 15-0 Delica. So I'm coming out of one 11-0 Delica. I'm going through the next 11-0 Delica. Then I'm going through the next 11-0 Delica. I pick up a 15-0 Delica and go through the next 11-0 Delica. And then I pick up another 15-0 Delica and go through 11-0 Delica. So that's a total of 3 15-0 Delicas that I put in. And that makes sense because we have 4 right angle weaves and we're only putting the 15-0 Delicas in place where there is in between 2 units. Alright, so now we're ready to go ahead and get started on our second row of right angle weave. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pick up 3 11-0 Delicas of our main color. We're going to go through 12 o'clock from the previous row. And this time we're going to be going from, last time we went right to left, now we're going left to right. There we go. And then what you want to do is just reinforce. There we go. I'm just going to pick this up and just turn things around as I do it to make it a little easier. Because we've done enough right angle weaves, we know exactly what we're doing. There we go. Now we want to wind up at 3 o'clock. So I finished reinforcing Now I just gotta make my way to 3 o'clock of that unit. There we go. And I'm just turning the piece around to make it easier for me to maneuver. There we go. So now I'm at 3 o'clock. I'm going counterclockwise. I have 12 o'clock. And so I'm just gonna come up here, just like that. I'm gonna ignore the 15-0s. There we go. And I'm missing 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, so I pick that up. And then I go through 9 o'clock. There we go. And then we just go ahead and reinforce that. Alright, so I'm going to have you go ahead and reinforce that on your own. Then do 2 more units. Meet me back here. We'll put on the, so go ahead and put on the 2 more units. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put the 15-0s in between each of those units, just like you did the previous row. Go ahead and do the 3rd row, and then another set of 15-0s, Delicas, in between each unit. Meet me back here, and we'll do the 4th row together, okay? So your 1st row we put on together, your 2nd row we started off. You're going to finish up your 2nd. After your 2nd, you put on your 15-0s just like you did with your 1st row. Then you start your 3rd row, and that will be going left to right. Once you're done with your 3rd row, you put on your 15-0s. You're just putting on 3 of them. And meet me back here, and we'll do our 4th row together. Alright, so now we just need to put on our, we got 3 rows of right angle weave. Now we just need to put on the 4th one. And here we have, and I turn my stone around so that this part here is the top and this part is the bottom. So we have a 6 o'clock and we have the 12 o'clock. And the 12 o'clock will, just like on the other side, it's those 11 Delicas of our main color, just slightly sticking out right here. You just get my needle through it. There we go. So what we're going to do is, because I turn things around, I'm currently going in counterclockwise. And so I have the 6 o'clock here. I pick up the I pick up the 3 o'clock and I go through the 12 o'clock, just like that. Then I pick up 9 o'clock and then go through 6 o'clock. And I'm sorry my hand is in the way, but I'll fix that. Alright, so then we go through the 6 o'clock. And then we just reinforce that. And once we're done, since I turn things around, we are going right to left. So then I want to wind up at 9 o'clock. So I'm just going to maneuver my way there. And then I'm now going clockwise. So I'm coming out at 9 o'clock. I have 6 o'clock right here. So I go through 6 o'clock. Then I pick up 9 o'clock since that's missing. And go through 12 o'clock, which is that bead up above that's sticking out. And then I go back through 9 o'clock of the previous unit, but is now 3 o'clock of this unit. And then go ahead, reinforce that, and then you have 2 more units to do. Meet me back here. We'll reinforce the 15-0s, and then we'll put on the final 15-0s in the back, okay? Alright. So After I put my last unit on, I just weave my way over to this direction here. And then all I'm going to do is just weave my way in. And I want to make sure I don't miss any beads as I go through. There we go. And then I just go up through the right angle weave and I turn around. And then I do the same thing with the second row. And make sure I don't miss any beads as I do so. And I just go all the way through. Same thing with the third row. There we go. And you don't have to, there we go. I think I got out of camera frame there. And you don't have to do this. This isn't the back that isn't going to get a lot of stress, but it just doesn't hurt. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and weave my way through these top beads again. Because I want to be at the very beginning of this right angle weave. There we go. There. And if you have to go through a couple of beads at a time, that's fine. And then when you turn around, you don't have to worry about putting a bead here because we're, whoops. You don't have to worry about putting a bead here because we're not going to put anything there. Might help if I make sure that there. So I'm just going to go through. And you're going to do this on both sides, by the way. So right here and right here and right here. So you're going to put on 3 of your 15 Delicas. And I'm running out of thread here. And if you do run out of thread, you can always use your tail to finish off later on. But you just go like this, just like you did in between. There we go. Just like that. So let me do the next one. So I'm coming out of here. Whoops. So I'm coming out of here. I picked up a 15-0. I'm going to go through the next 15-0. Next 11-0 Delica. There you go. And then one more. And my needle came off my thread. But you get the idea. So you go along here, then you weave your way around and do over here. And if you have enough thread, go ahead and reinforce that. And once you're done, you can go ahead and do a couple of half knots and end your thread. And then meet me back here with your tail and we'll do our final embellishments, okay? Alright, so now we're ready to do our side embellishments. And this is pretty easy. So I weave my way around so that I'm coming out of 11-0 Delica of my main color on the short side. So I'm coming out of here right after our corner. The first one right after our corner, okay? So as we're looking at this, and it's going to be, it really is just going to be just like the front and the back, like we did initially. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 Delica of the main color. I'm about to go through 11-0 Delica of the main color. Alright, so I'm just going to pick up 11-0 Delica of the main color. Alright, just like that. There we go. And again, I'm coming out of 11-0 Delica of the main color, about to go through 11-0 Delica of the main color. So I pick up 11-0 Delica of the main color. And I'm going to do that all the way around. The only exception is when I come to a bicone. and coming into a bicone and leaving a bicone, I pick up one 11 Delica accent color. There we go. Just like that. And then I pick up, whoops, and 3 11 round seed beads. There we go. Let me just grab those. So we're going to pick up 3 11 round seed beads. Go through the bicone. Just like that. And then go through 1 11 seed bead at a time. And reinforce as you're doing that. And then go back through the bicone. Whoops. There we go. There. Making sure your thread doesn't catch on anything. Now, because I'm coming out of a bicone, I pick up an accent bead and I go through the next 11 Delica of my main color. There we go, just like that. So now we'll do 11 Delica of the main color. And I'm picking up 11 Delica of the main color, going through the next 11 Delica. I'm picking up 11 Delica of the main color, going through the next 11 Delica. And I'm picking up another 11 Delica of the main color and going through the next 11 Delica of the main color. Now I'm coming up to a bicone. I'm entering a bicone. So I pick up 1 11 Delica of the accent color, go through the bicone. Then I pick up 3 11 round seed beads, go back through on the opposite side, that bicone. I reinforce these 11 seed beads one at a time. And that's for them to help keep their shape that I'm creating at the corner. And then I go through that bicone. Alright. And since I'm leaving the bicone, I pick up an accent color and go through the next 11 Delica, which is a main color. So go ahead, do that all the way around. So we did 2 corners together. And just remember, whenever so it's going to be your 11 Delicas all the way around. The only exception is when you're going into a bicone, you're going to use an accent bead. Add the 3 round seed beads. Go back into the bicone on the opposite side. Reinforce that. Then as you're coming out of the bicone, you add an accent bead, and then again you're back to your main colors, and then corner again. Same thing with all the other corners. Once you've gone all the way around, meet me back here. And then what you want to do for the, actually, you know what you want to do is you want to reinforce everything but the round seed beads. Okay, so just go through all the 11 Delicas that you just added. You don't have to reinforce the 11 rounds because you've already done that. Meet me back here on one of the short sides. And correction, I think I told you to come out of one of the 2 beads sticking out. I actually meant to say come out of the 11 Delica of in between the 2 beads sticking out, okay? So here are the two 11.0 Delicas that, here, let me just hold this up this way, that are sticking out, and I'm coming out of the middle bead here, okay? And what you want to do is you want to be coming out of this middle bead here. You're going to pick up one 3mm bicone and three 11.0 round seed beads. You're just going to slide those down. Then you're going to go back through that bicone, all right? And then go through that same, and I'm just going to turn this to the back so it's a little easier to do. You just want to go through. Oh, shoot. There we go. You just want to go through that 11.0 Delica that you were coming out on the opposite side. So you see how you just pull this away so you can see a little bit better. See how my thread is coming out on this side? I'm going to go through the opposite side and come back out. Let me just fix that and readjust the thread. And there we go. There. And if you need to, the best way to adjust is just to kind of tug a little bit and then tug back the other direction. All right, then you're going to go back through that bicone. There we go. And not go through any of the 11.0 seed beads just yet. Just going back up through that bicone. Just to make sure we can center things. There we go. And then you go through each bead. So you go through one 11.0 round bead. Then you go through the second 11.0 round bead. Now, if this was the side where you weren't adding an ear wire, you would just continue and go through that third 11.0 round bead and then back to the bicone and then through that 11.0 Delica and back up and reinforce another time. But because we are adding an ear wire to one side, because we are adding a wire to this side, what we want to do is we want to stop here at the very top, grab our ear wire, make sure it's facing the correct way. So I have the little hook here, my stone's facing up, my hook is facing down, and my thread is coming out this direction, so I want to go in this direction with my thread. And what I do is I just double check and make sure I did it correctly. You know, I just hold it in place and go, oh yeah, whoops, my hands are in the way. Oh yeah, that's correct. So then I can go back through that same 11.0 round seed bead and the ear wire a couple of times. Okay? So I'm just going to do that real quick. I'm just going to reinforce that. And it's probably a good idea to reinforce it. You don't get a lot of stress like you do with a bracelet or a necklace, but I would still reinforce it at least 3 times, maybe going back through a 4th time. I just don't understand artists that only reinforce stress points 2 times. You really do need to go back at stress points and reinforce them 3 or 4 times. It's, you know, things happen, and you know, things get caught, people tug on their pieces. So wherever you have, like, you know, where your clasp meets your bracelet or your necklace, make sure you reinforce that at least 3 or 4 times. There we go. And now I can go back through that one 11.0 seed bead that I skipped. There we go. I'm going to go back down. And then through the bicone. And since this section here on this side is holding the ear wire, on the opposite side you only have to reinforce 2 times at least, but because this is holding the ear wire, I'm just going to go back up and reinforce that, the bicone and the round seed beads one more time. Just, you know, because sometimes people play with their earrings and they tug at them, and so I just want to be conscientious of that and make sure it's secure. So I'm just gonna go through the 11/0 round seed beads a 3rd time. And then back down that bicone and that 11/0 Delica on the opposite side. There we go. Just gonna turn it around so it'll be a little easier for me to see what I'm doing. I think, maybe, yes. And no, yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through this 11/0 Delica here on the opposite side. And then I'll just weave my way around, do the same thing on the opposite side. The only difference is no ear wire. Alright, and then you'll have your earring. It will look like this. Oops, let me fix that. And thank you guys so much for following this video. I greatly appreciate it. And again, I'm going to be shameless here. Hit that like button and subscribe. And when you subscribe, it'll ring that bell and let you know when I have another video. You guys, thank you so much. Take care, and thank you.